Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley. I'm ready to call the election.
You are?
Yeah, because it's over for me. I voted yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Hello, Gary. Hello, everybody.
I haven't
yada,
voted
yada. Welcome. Thursday.
Oh.
Blah, blah, blah.
Wait a minute. Before I tell you something, how long was the line?
It wasn't a line.
Really?
No, but there was a lady I talked to, a neighbor of mine who's running for city council, and she told me Monday was an hour and a half. Tuesday was 30 or 40 minutes, but yesterday, no line.
I may go.
There were a lot of people in there. I mean, it was almost full. I mean, it was busy, but the line it kept moving. I came out, in fact, and she was still standing outside, in the safe zone where they have to be at 200 feet away or whatever it is. And she goes, "Well, that was fast." I said, "I've never had to wait in Farmers Branch except for one time when a machine was down." And that's another thing. I'm walking up. "Do you live here?" I said, "Yeah." And I thought, well, that's an odd question, and I'm voting here. Oh, wait, they changed that in Texas. You can vote anywhere. They changed that years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it hit me, but nobody had ever asked me that at one of the, "Sorry, do you live here?" And I was like, "Well, of course I live here. I'm voting here."
Well, why do they ask that question if you can vote?
Well, because they're running for office in that town.
Oh, okay.
They
All
want
right.
to know,
all right.
what you're,
All right.
yeah.
All right. I thought
Right.
you were talking about maybe, well, there is no security there,
Right.
really. I've never seen security at a
Right.
voting booth. At least in my life, I've never
Yeah,
done it.
no, it was a candidate.
But since you mentioned your town, and you've warned me about this for years and years and years and years, I got pulled over on the way in.
I told him to keep an eye. I told that city council member, I said, "Listen." She said, "Do you have any concerns or questions?" I said, "Yeah. Let me talk to you about a guy." By the way, one of the issues being a talk show host, I don't consider it an issue. It's an issue with other people we talk to, is that now this is somebody who's running for office, a local politician, but they're a politician, and asked me if I had any questions or concerns, and I rambled on for probably, I don't know, it must have been days. And that glazed look in their eye, where they're like, "I kind of need to be talking to other people, too. You're taking up all my time," that kind of thing. That's one of the downsides of stopping a talk show host on the way in. Yeah.
Well, it was fine. What happened to me, now, I actually consciously think all the time, whenever I'm coming into work. And where I live, my city police, and I know here, your city police, they're out there, especially overnight. They're always out there.
Right.
And so I always make sure that every stop sign, it's a complete stop before I go.
Yeah.
I just don't need the hassle. I mean, it's just I don't need the hassle of ever getting a traffic ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was coming to work, I'm like, "Where's my phone?" And I realized I dropped my phone somewhere between the seats.
Right.
And, that drives you nuts. And I'm thinking about everything that happened yesterday in my mind. And I must have rolled through just a couple blocks from here.
That seriously impedes your ability to text and drive, and I hate that.
Yeah, I can't text and drive. I can't read on the way in. And so, so I'm just a couple blocks away from here. And I'm going, all of a sudden, lights are behind me. I'm like, what? It's like, what did I'm trying to figure out what in the world did I do?
Got lit up.
And so, but I did what we've always told people to do. My window was rolled down. The dome light was on. My license was in my hand as she walked up.
And you were screaming, "I know my rights." This is what you do.
And I said, "You cops are horrible!"
Yes.
And I screamed at her.
Don't look me in the eye.
The funniest thing is, it was just in the last couple of days and it went through my mind was the YouTube video. Karens get pulled over,
Yeah.
and it's these women that just will not cooperate, would not open their window, and it's like, nope, I'm not going to do it. You need to tell me, why you stop. What, speeding? I want to see the radar. You don't get to tell us what to do. You need to roll down your window, and you can argue that in court. You need to roll down your window, give us a license, and it's these. And in my mind, I went, I don't think I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
But no, very, very. I just got a warning. I got a warning, and I told her, I said, you got to make sure you listen to Red Eye Radio starting it, because she asked,
Because we're going to talk about you.
Well, the best thing is when they ask, where are you? I said, I'm just heading off to work. I was thinking about work. She goes, no, where do you work?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to tell them. It's like, I am a celebrity who nobody knows.
That's right. And nobody cares about.
And nobody cares.
Nobody wants to know.
And you don't realize how lucky you are.
That's right.
Well,
It's the only time anybody asks me for my signature if I get pulled over.
And I will say, very attractive. And then I realized I'm an old man, and that thought left my mind.
Yeah, right. That basically, compared to you, everybody is attractive. So you realize it wasn't a proper assessment.
If they're young, they're attractive. No,
I wish I had, and not for that reason, but for the reason of I wish I had my vitality back. You don't talk that way, but I talk that way about you.
It was actually my second encounter yesterday with the police officer. The first one was I was driving home from shopping, and I see a police car has a car pulled over. And as I pass it, I see the police officer behind pushing the guy's car. He wants to get him, around the corner. So I pull up. I get out of the car, and I went, you need help? They go, no, we're just pushing him right here. The car's rolling another 10 feet. Thank you so much. So it was so I tried to do a good thing for law enforcement, and they pull me over tonight.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a liberal, doesn't it?
I like
take two separate things and try to tie them in together as a negative.
I like to do things that look unlawful. And by the way, I'm very careful when I come into work, because I've lived around here for 30 years. And I'm very careful to look out for the cops while I'm speeding, and I think everyone should. I like to do things that look unlawful. Like the other day, I had to go get a small TV for the RV, a new one, and because I wanted, my setup on the kind of TV that I have, and I thought, well, I could just get that TV and log in, and I've got, it's got preloaded apps, and I wanted to update the TV in the RV. So go to the store, big box store, initials are Walmart, and I get to the door, and I said to my wife, I put my receipt in my pocket, the whole thing we've already checked out. I said, I'm going to run full on to the car with this in my hand. She says, please don't. I said, I gotta. Just running with a TV in your hand. It looks unlawful. It might not be unlawful.
It might not be. No.
But no, I voted yesterday. By the way, it made it very easy. I actually had it set up at a fast food restaurant. The drive-through. The guy, by the way, who also I handed him my ballot. He hands me a bag of food. Looked exactly like the Republican nominee. I'm not going to name any Trumps. And he was wearing a hat, "Make E. coli great again." And I thought to myself, this feels wrong, but I'm going to go ahead and go through with it. When I walked out of the polling place, I thought to myself, I don't, it's not a sense of relief because the election's not over yet. There won't be a sense of relief really for the election, except for maybe you and I will get that first weekend after the election to kind of take a breath.
Yeah.
But then, the madness isn't going to stop. But I thought to myself, I was relieved that I didn't wait, because I thought, yesterday morning, my wife was saying, hey, what do you got going on today? I said, well, really the one thing I want to do is I want to early vote so I can get that out of the way. She goes, yeah, I'm going to do that too. And I thought, to myself, and I'm sitting there and I had so much other stuff going on. I thought, no, I can incorporate it. It actually is on the way to where I was going and the whole thing. And because there's so much that goes on during our day that it felt like, man, I don't want something to get in the way of me being able to go on election day. I would feel now, at least this election cycle, if I waited till November 5th, I'd feel like, oh my gosh, I'm late. It just had that feel to it. And it was, when I got done with it, by the way, again, very vibrant, when that city council person told me, when she said, hey, after I told her, I came out and she said, wow, that was fast. I said, I've really never had much of a wait here in this town. And she said, on Monday, it was an hour and a half. I was going to actually drive by there on Monday, but I didn't get a chance to. And I thought, well, if I do, I'm going to want to vote. And if there is a line, because people are anxious to vote, then it would be, I thought to myself, if we're seeing that, in which we're seeing the trends right now on early voting, it really is, I think, that sense of, okay, you know what, I've done my part. Let's cross our fingers and hope and pray everybody else does their part, and we get this done. It was a weird sense of relief that I really never felt after voting. I love the process of voting, but I've never really felt that before, and I thought, no, that's really what this election cycle is about.
Well, you've convinced me to vote tomorrow then. I'm going to get up and get out there and vote before I cut. Well, I know what I got to do. I got to charge my lithium-ion batteries for my lawnmower.
Yeah.
People are like, well, you have an electric lawn? Yeah, I don't like, my garage is attached to my house. I don't like keeping gasoline in there. It gets too hot during the summertime. So before I charge the batteries to cut the lawn tomorrow, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go quickly vote. Man, we got a great show. We're going to start out coming up next with an email that I got.
All right.
All right. An email from somebody who claims they're a Republican, but I highly doubt it. That coming up next, 866-90 Red Eye.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. As the seasons change, so does truck maintenance. Cold weather can affect everything from your batteries and air brake system to tire inflation and fuel lines. Here's a maintenance tip to help make sure your rig is ready when winter comes knocking. When temperatures fall, the paraffin wax in diesel fuel can thicken so much it clogs fuel filters or solidifies to the point where it will no longer flow. Invest in a new fuel filter now and consider adding a winter fuel additive to your maintenance routine to help prevent fuel gelling. To learn more about winterizing your truck, find a professional technician today and ask about their fuel additives and fuel filters.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. I want to start off the show with an email because I find some emails interesting. Guys, as a Republican, I'm concerned that our candidate had a bad day yesterday. Now, this was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
You have a tendency to gloss over the events of the day. Statements made by General Kelly, Obama's speech, and Trump's own words about paying for a soldier's funeral. Come on, guys. I don't believe you're a Republican. Who sent this to me?
And Trump's own, I don't know what he means by Trump's own words about paying for a funeral.
Well, the murdered soldier.
I know, but is he say? I know that.
Right.
But he makes it sound like the way he wrote it that Trump said that.
Right. The family said Trump never said that.
The family's lawyer said who had the conversation,
right. That's why I'm
with
saying
Goldberg over at the Atlantic, said he flat out lied.
right, and that he didn't pay for the funeral. The sister said he didn't pay for the funeral. The Army did.
Yeah,
So that's how I know this guy isn't a
Trump's own
Republican.
words.
But just so you know, when we've done this, we look at every day and say, okay, who won the day, and that's what he's relating to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, as I wrote back to him, I said, obviously, you don't know what our rating system is. I said, you don't understand what the rating system is. You lose a day. Our rating system is you lose the day if you're on the defensive from both sides.
Right.
And I go back to the last time that you had both sides attacking Trump. And that was the black journalist thing. Now, when you look at it, we played a number, MSNBC, we played the MSNBC interviews with blacks who came out and said, she's not black, she's Indian. So for the target audience of blacks, it may not have been that bad of a day for Trump.
Right.
But you lose the day when both sides are going up against you. That hasn't happened to Trump since that day.
Yeah.
Now, Harris yesterday, it wasn't a good day for Harris. The CNN, how do we know? Because she's being attacked again for word salads, at the CNN town hall. But the fact is, both sides are going after her. CNN, when you have liberals because of course you're going to have the opposition go against you. But when your own side is saying, no, that's a bad day. You lose the day when that happens. Mm-hmm. Here it is. Let's go to CNN very quickly. Here we go.
Focused a lot more on Donald Trump, I think it's fair to say, than she did on many specifics in terms of what she would do.
If her goal was to close the deal, they're not sure she did that.
That's Dana Bash. You're talking about such partisans for Kamala that
the way that they're phrasing things on these liberal network panels, well, I think that maybe she falls short in accomplishing what she needs to accomplish. I don't. And they're trying to sell it when you can tell behind the scenes they're screaming, going, what the hell is she doing? Why? Yeah, it's I guess you got to keep doing it until Election Day. That's a long week and a half.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was still word salad. Here's another example.
No.
Okay, on the border. Here we go.
Yeah.
2022, 2023, there were record border crossings. Your administration took hundreds of executive actions. It didn't stem the flow. Numbers kept going up. Finally, in 2024, just in June, 3 weeks before the first presidential debate with Joe Biden, you institute executive actions that had a dramatic impact, really shut down people crossing over. Why didn't your administration do that in 2022, 2023?
First of all, you're exactly right, Anderson. And as of today, we have cut the flow of immigration by over half. In fact, the numbers I saw most recently, illegal immigration
But if
is
it was
low.
that easy
Hold on,
with that
finish.
executive action, why not do it in 2022, 2023?
Because we were working with Congress and hoping that actually we could have a long-term fix to the problem instead of a short-term fix.
You couldn't have done one and both at the same time?
Well, here's the thing. We have to understand that ultimately this problem is going to be fixed through congressional action.
Everybody knows that's BS.
Yep.
Everybody knows she's BSing.
Yep.
Everyone.
Yep.
She still can't explain it.
I guess you just keep rambling like this until Election Day. Mm-hmm. Wow.
listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. Got another email. Mike wrote this to us. Please weigh in on General Kelly. And with all that Trump has endured in this election cycle, I don't believe this will have legs, but I would like you to weigh in and hear your opinions. Well, I mean, the whole thing about the one woman that came out yesterday and then General Kelly yesterday, neither are going to do anything.
It doesn't move the needle at all.
No.
What it really feels like from General Kelly is that that letter of the dozens of former intel officials who all signed that letter about the laptop saying it feels like Russian disinformation. You know, it's, well, based on the definition of fascist, he's a fascist. Okay. I can write off at least half of the people that were part of his first administration, maybe more. John Bolton couldn't wait to get done with that job so he could go write a book. The first time I ever saw John Bolton smile was when he was holding his book. He was so gleeful over being able to write a book, get a book deal. Expect more of that, as you said yesterday. It's going to be, there are going to be stories that circulate and rise to the top every day between now. Oh, no, he's a fascist. Oh, well, that's General Kelly. Nobody cares about that story but the media. Everything is already priced in. They've been screaming Trump is a fascist for years.
It's almost 9 years now.
They formed an organization.
Yeah.
Of fascists to fight fascism called Antifa. And but that's how the left works. This is a very liberal mindset. General Kelly, in that thought, is thinking like a liberal.
Well, look, I used to automatically respect the military. That stopped.
Right.
If you look at whether it's Vindman or whether you look at so many people in the military today, a very woke military, you don't get my automatic respect. You have to earn it. Just being in the military alone does not. When you enter the arena of politics, I will compliment you for your service. But when you enter the arena of politics, you will have generals lie and exaggerate just like anybody else. End of story.
Yeah.
And we know how Trump governed, and there were things we disagreed with on Trump. We know how he governed for 4 years. He's not a fascist.
Well, here's the thing. To that point, General Kelly, with all of his experience, ended up being the longest-serving chief of staff. So you were willing to serve a fascist?
Yeah. I don't buy it. It's the same thing of you've got the senators and now a couple of the Democrat senators, the incumbents that are using Trump and saying, hey, we agree with Trump on this. They know it's bogus. They all know it's bogus. You got a couple of Democrat representatives fighting for their life that are also now backing Trump on the issues. You had Kamala Harris herself come out and state, that all the major issues now, even she was talking about yesterday that, Trump didn't get the job done. I'll get the job done on the wall. I mean, it's asinine. It's ridiculous that she called racist and fascist and xenophobic and you name it. If you don't live in the bubble of today, you look back and you go, no, there's nothing. Look, Trump doesn't explain things the way I do. But when he said the other day at a speech, and he was attacked for that, briefly, when he said, look, I believe, for example, Xi in China, I believe he's smart. I get along with him. Oh, see, he gets along with communists. No, just like Reagan and Gorbachev. They liked each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for Trump to be doing that, you're simply saying, okay, we can open the lines of communication.
Right.
But if you look at China, China was the one that got hit with the majority of tariffs.
Yeah, right.
And so I understand when Trump says things, he may not put it the way that I do, but because he served, I know exactly what he means by that.
Mm-hmm.
I know these people, I get along with them, and I'll negotiate with them.
Right.
And they're smart.
Right.
And we've been dumb in the things we've done in this country, and they've been smart. Well, not on everything. China's economy isn't growing like they thought it was going to grow.
No.
And so I may disagree with him on the actual specifics of some of the issues, but I know where he's coming from, and everybody else does too. And it's just amazing that when you use the term Nazi and fascist and everything else, you're talking about the party and Kamala Harris, who sides with Hamas, one of the most brutal terrorist organizations on the planet.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that Trump is the fascist.
Right.
So, no, it's not going to go anywhere. Everyone knows they're trying to do anything with an October surprise. I will say, but I got busy yesterday, and it was like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I saw all the allegations, and I burst out laughing. I went, oh, my God, here it comes, because we said it yesterday and the day before.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to come big time now. There's going to be allegations left and right. But the fact is, none of them hold any water. People look at, nope, sorry, priced in. You said it in our pre-show meeting. You said, here's a guy that was found by a jury guilty of 34 felonies.
Mm-hmm.
And the public has gone, nope, it's bogus.
It's
Doesn't
bogus.
matter.
If they thought for a moment there was anything to his conviction, anything at all, on the whole convicted felon thing and the case brought by Bragg, he'd have Jill Stein numbers.
Yeah. And
He-
so
because if he wins, that means he won over independents because it's required to get there.
well, you have a significant portion of the country. And look, I think it's the majority of the country that believes that these prosecutions are political.
Right.
The polls that we've seen.
Right.
We're talking, 60% or more.
Right.
Believe they're political, even if they agree that they should go after Trump.
Right.
But they believe, no, that's political.
Right.
And those on the left that are intellectually honest have looked at these things and gone, no, that's bogus. No, that's bogus. No, that's bogus. What I don't think, maybe the left does understand it, which is why they're so worried. But they're going back because, to riding the same old horse because they have nowhere to go. If you come out and say, but he was prosecuted and a jury found him guilty, what you're failing to mention is the legal experts out there that have said it's bogus. Just because, remember, the left has tainted every single American institution where you can't trust them anymore.
Right.
You've got to prove as an American, I don't care whether you're the FBI, the CIA, a judge, a prosecutor, a jury, all of it's been tainted by the left. All of it.
And quite possibly the Secret Service.
Secret Service. Yep. Everything has been tainted. The rot exists everywhere.
Yep.
If the rot didn't exist, and Kelly said it, it might have some impact 10 years ago. That's gone.
I'd still question the whole thing of, well, then why would you serve so long as chief of staff?
And why would you wait so long to
Because
talk about this 10 days before an election?
Exactly. Because, serving as chief of staff isn't the same as serving in the military as a general. Chief of staff is a job you take, not a job you're assigned.
Right.
Taking orders is one thing. Taking that role of chief of staff is another. So was this a mea culpa, General Kelly? Is this you coming out saying you were part of the fascism?
Well, I mean, for the Democrats, to jump on this and bring back the Nazi and fascism from the political party that sides with Hamas.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the brutal genocide of Jews, for them to sit there and say it. I will say this, though. this is a kind of day, again, it's not going to have any effect, but this is a kind of day that Republicans need to start setting the table to show the American public day in and day out. And you're seeing it. We talked about MSNBC, looking at, talking to blacks about Obama. And they said, basically, they were talking as if Obama was like the master.
Yeah.
And the slaves, and they're saying, okay, you N-words, you need to all, now get together and follow up. I mean, they were furious at it. And the fact is, the public understands the identity politics, but that is going on right now. But it's up to the Republicans to explain it each and every day. So when this comes up in the future, they've already used it so much where it's losing its impact. But the Republican Party needs to set it up where you bury them on this issue. You talk about their identity politics every single day. You talk about how judging people by groups and not individuals is wrong. You talk about the autonomy of the individual. We care about the person and what's in the mind. This has to become a consistent marketing plan because you've got them. Why? Because they bluntly admit to you that they're racist through identity politics.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you're black. You got to vote this way. You're not an individual. You're black. Blacks can't be individuals.
Right.
They must follow the Borg narrative. That's a Star Trek reference.
Well, I mean, and the concern over Obama's basically telling us to get in line. This is what the left has been doing for years.
I know.
Saying, hey, your skin color is this. You must think like we do.
Yeah.
My gosh.
And so, like I said, yesterday is a day where you need to start setting the table over the next couple of years where you say, look, everything's wrong with this party.
Yeah.
The radical transgender movement,
Yep.
the misogyny, the racism of identity politics. It's time for the Republican Party to get together and sit there and say, these are the things that we need to promote, especially when they use it against us. Because think about it. For the Democratic Party to come out and say Trump is a Nazi from the party that wholeheartedly endorses Hamas.
Yeah.
And if you get upset, you should. Well, we don't endorse Hamas. As soon as you say the two-state solution, you endorse Hamas.
Yep.
There is no middle ground here.
Right.
As soon as that's the code word. The code word two-state solution. Well, they don't want the two-state solution.
Right.
The enemy doesn't want the two-state solution. They want the eradication of Israel. So as soon as you bring that up, and as soon as you bring up the fact, well, I mean, what the genocide that the Israeli, the IDF has caused, or the civilians being killed, as soon as you bring that up, when none of the evidence backs you up, you're backing the terrorists. And Republicans need to set that table every single day after this election.
Yep. Nonstop.
Yep.
Yeah, it's look, this is going to be the insanity. It's going to be, like you said, it's going to be every day. There's going to be something every single day.
Yep.
But there should, as you just pointed out, on the counter from the GOP, there needs to be something every day. The truth. Showing the American people who the liberals are. What they want to do. That needs to be nonstop. And it doesn't stop on Election Day. The campaigning for this, showing everybody what their agenda is and reminding them of that every day is important. If you don't point out how radical they are, because they're not going away. You and I were talking about it, I think it was off the air. We said it on the air. Look, if Trump wins,
it's not
that's
going
a
away.
whole new wave of hate coming Trump's way.
Yep.
Wait for it.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. It's yesterday was what we expected. Even the email that I got from the guy who said he was Republican, what he put down there, I went, okay, here we go. They're out now. The panic is starting. By the way, she did not look good yesterday when Anderson Cooper was asking her questions. She looked like she was exhausted.
She really it's
stressed.
beyond being on the defensive. She really looks like she's being, grilled every single time, which she is by her own side, and she can't handle that.
Top of the hour news is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the world, we are Red Eye Radio. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, as always.
Thank you.
Oh, man. What a day it was yesterday.
Yeah.
But you just expect it. Expect you're going to have that every day.
Yeah, it's
Every day.
It's
from
the
now.
only thing that they have now. I mean, go back to calling him Hitler, fascist, the devil. You can't call him Dick Cheney because that's that's now on your side if you're on the left. You just throw the names at him, and it does zero. It moves nothing. Everything is already priced in. Again, on the Bragg prosecution conviction, that right there, they actually, it's hard to believe that charade was carried out, but Mershon and the judge and Bragg, the prosecutor, were working together to make all that happen. But that was actually a process where you could go, okay, well, I mean, technically a jury did convict him. And then people sorted that out. If you think your fascist thing is going to work, Bragg took him to court. It went on and on and on and on, and then convinced a jury through some distorted process to convict him, and that didn't work. The polls show it. And if he wins, all of this is going to be, and by the way, all the more reason for him to win. Look, the weaponization of the DOJ, and so many agencies, the rot that needs to be weeded out and stopped, the lawfare, all of it, those are the biggest reasons. But this type of, throwing it out, oh, well, no, I served as his longest-serving chief of staff, and he's a fascist. You just admitted you were part of the fascism. What you're saying is, I was willing to be not as an order, as someone in the military would take from the Pentagon, but as somebody who took a job serving as chief of staff, the longest serving chief of staff, General Kelly. You're a fascist. That makes you a fascist. If you served under him and you go, oh no, I definitely believe he was a fascist, what you're saying is you're a fascist.
Or he's lying.
You're saying, of course he is, or he's saying he's a fascist.
No,
It's only those.
yeah.
It's only those two choices.
Those are the two possibilities.
It's only those two
Right,
choices.
right.
That's why this goes nowhere. This
But
is
the
how
truth-
people parse it out.
But the truth is, General Kelly's lying.
We all know that. Of course, he's lying. That's obvious.
There's no way.
but
right.
This is how people think. People look at that and go, "Well, why is he calling him a fascist?" I'm sorry. Remind me who General Kelly is.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. He served as chief of staff, so he was willing to serve in that role, take that job, not just any job, the job at the White House. Oh,
Yeah, because I sort of would figure out in a week if somebody was really a fascist. I don't know about you, but I'd figure it out real quick.
we would all know.
Yeah.
He's already served as president. You know, this is the thing. What they're doing is they're trying the 2016 tactics, the pre-Trump era tactics. When he had not been president yet, they were throwing all this stuff. Oh, he's going to do these things. Oh, he's going to do these things. Look, he's going to do. And people are going, no. We remember when he was president. We could do with a few less tweets, but other than that, he's already been president. It's already happened. They're trying the tactics of 2016 that didn't work then. And they don't get it.
Well, the thing is, if your opinion as a Democrat or whatever is that you believe General Kelly that Trump is a fascist or a Nazi, there is no indication of when he served as president of the United States that he is. Now let's take a look at the other side. Let's look at the support from this White House for Hamas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The anti-Semitism.
The funding of Hamas through
Right.
Iran.
The funding of Hamas through Iran. As we know, the enabling of Iran, we all know this. This isn't like, okay, is Kelly telling the truth or not?
Right.
You know, this one guy said it.
Mm-hmm.
This is all documented. Trump stopped the money flowing to Iran.
Yep.
The oil money going to Iran, he stopped it.
Yep.
And that money went to fund Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis in Yemen.
Mm-hmm.
We know their goal is to eradicate the Jewish state. Biden came in with full approval of Harris. How do I know? Because Harris said she wouldn't do anything different than Biden.
Right.
She said it. And so then he comes into office. He opens up the oil money again. And they have done everything they can to stop Israel that experienced a genocide of Jews on October 7th. Stuff that we haven't really seen like that since World War II. And as soon as they attempt to fight back, we know the statistics. We've seen the statistics of collateral damage in different wars. There has never been a military exercise that has been so concerned with not killing civilians from a group. There's been no criticism from the Democrats of using civilians as shields.
Right. Which
None.
they have done for ages.
Right. As human shield. None. And the whole, but you said it day one, there is no middle ground here and there is no middle ground here. And everybody knows it. Israel is a modern Western democracy. Hamas is not. Hamas does not want a two-state solution. They want the eradication of Israel. So if any Democrat or anyone comes out and says, well, we need to have a two-state solution, then you're pro-Hamas.
Yep.
And everything you take it there, you look at everything there, you want Nazism? There you've got it right there. If you're going to make the case that someone says, I think Trump's a fascist and or a Nazi, if you're going to make that argument, and saying, well, the question is whether to believe him or not, but what are Trump's actions when he was actually in office? I can't find any. And then you look at the opposition that's using that against him. You can find specific behavior that shows, wait a minute, he's not the Nazi, you are. And then plus we know that did I save it? Oh, okay, I didn't save it. I'll have to go back and get it. It was funny because Scott Jennings was on CNN before the thing, and he's like, "Come on," but he goes, "Bush was Nazi. Bush was a Nazi." He goes, "I remember looking out.
Mm-hmm.
I remember looking out when Bush was president. You could see everybody out there with their signs. Bush is a Nazi, and we remember it." He said, "Then McCain became a Nazi."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "And then Romney became a Nazi."
They're all Hitler.
They've been a Nazi. Hitler. That's right, Hitler. Because they've been doing this for 24 years now, almost a quarter of a century.
Yep.
Anybody who's a Republican leader is a Nazi.
Yeah.
Without any evidence. And then someone says something, well, that's the absolute proof. You're funding Iran to kill Jews.
One guy can stop the funding of Iran. In fact, one guy enabled the funding of Iran, and he's the president right now.
Yep.
And his vice president stands with him.
How do we know?
She said it.
She said it. I mean, it's not even a contest here.
But it's the silliness. How stupid they look. Because, all right, if you believe the guy, then you believe he's a fascist too, General Kelly.
Okay, I've got the cut from Scott Jennings.
All right, yeah, this is a good cut.
Here we go. This was before her town hall.
Probably will shock Kamala Harris and the rest of her campaign staff to learn that there are incumbent Democrat U.S. senators in this country right now running television ads touting all their work with this modern-day Hitler. I wonder if Kamala Harris tonight in our town hall meeting will call for them to take these ads off the air, touting their work with this Hitler. I mean, if he were really Hitler, if he were really a threat to democracy, not a single Democrat in this country would be running ads touting their work with Donald Trump. Now, I'm calloused on this Hitler business because I lived through the Bush years. And I used to peer out my window onto Pennsylvania Avenue, and I saw everybody marching around in their brown uniforms, signs up, Bush is Hitler, Bush is Hitler. And then they did it to John McCain. They did it to Mitt Romney. They've done it to Donald Trump. They even did it to Paul Ryan, I recall, at one point. So I've heard it all before. And I think the reason Democrats are freaking out about it right now is because what they have learned is that it's not Republicans who are the Hitlers or the Nazis. It's actually emanating from within their own party. If you want to find Hitlerish, Nazi-esque, anti-Semitic tendencies, look on the left.
But Scott, there you go.
Yeah, and then you hear the interruption. But it's true.
Well, the point is bringing up, but his own chief of staff says he has the fascist Hitler tendencies.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and he
Because
wants to interrupt as soon as Scott Jennings points out the truth about the pro-Hamas, anti-Jew,
right,
anti-Semitism on the left. But.
And in the White House.
It's actually happening in front of you.
Right.
But this guy says Trump's a fascist. They're proudly protesting with signs.
Pro-Hamas.
Their hatred for Jews on the left. Yeah, but did you hear? One guy said Trump is a fascist.
Yeah. The protests are one thing. The behavior of the White House, what they've actually done and put into motion, is the evidence of the anti-Semitism and the Jewish hatred inside of the White House.
Funding Iran.
When the funding was stopped.
All of their went out of his way from the beginning to make sure they were fully funded to carry out October 7th. But did you hear Trump is a fascist?
And the biggest supporter of Israel and the Jews while in office, Donald Trump.
He's a fascist, though. A guy said so. It must be true.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Uncompensated detention at docks frustrates drivers of all stripes. If you're an owner-operator, you have at least some control over the matter. Make the subject a standard part of your rate and/or contract negotiations on the front end. You can use your own numbers to calculate an hourly rate to compensate for lost income opportunity, as well as fixed costs, which don't stop when the truck stops. Those two elements of a fair detention rate were deemed appropriate by most of Overdrive's audience almost a decade ago. We've used income, fixed costs, and miles average of our owner-operator business services from ATBS's clients to compute an average $64 an hour detention rate then. And 10 years later, the figure is $83 an hour. Use your own numbers to calculate your rate. A simple conversation with any broker or shipper or your carrier if you're leased about what you're putting in the rate might yield results you don't expect. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I've never seen, and the continuation happened last night with the Trump campaign taking things that she said and using it against her. This was already a very quick 9-second ad. This is an internet ad only, but still, here, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Thank you, Eric. And you're absolutely right. You know it. I know it. I think most Americans know it. Price of groceries is still too high.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Thank you, Eric.
It's just amazing. That's one thing, though, that has been most unusual in this whole campaign cycle. I've never seen this. I've never seen, to the degree that you have seen, the number of ads, the percentage of ads where it's not the candidate talking about what they're going to do. It's simply the actual audio and video of the opposition candidate. And it's not just things that she said in the past. It's every single thing that she does up until a few days, 13 days, 12 days now, whatever, before an election. That, to me, it's never been done to this extent before. I've never seen it.
It really is shaping up to be the William H. Macy from Fargo campaign. I said that about Kirby, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. That's, Iran is dangerous. And, no, that's true. And that's right there, the answer she gave. Oh, yeah, no, I would agree. No, prices are too high. Yeah, for sure. And then, oh, yeah, no, I'm pro-fracking. There's a lot of people, yep, I'm pro-fracking. That's right, I'm pro-fracking. It is a weird, being on the defense is one thing, but then, it's exactly how the interrogation of William H. Macy's character went in Fargo, in that dealership. It was it is the just trying to shape it any way you can, where it's so weird you don't know what to make of it, and then he runs out the back door.
Well, no, that's, if you want to know, because people hear a lot of this was cringeworthy, because you see that a lot with Kamala.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, what's the definition of cringe? Go watch Fargo.
Go watch Fargo.
Yeah. And William Macy when he's being questioned by the cop.
Right. When
he's in the dealership.
In the dealership.
Yes. That's cringe.
Right.
Because you're cringing. You're like listening to going, dude, you're terrible.
Dude,
just shut up.
Shut up.
You
are
shut up.
So about to get burned. She has absolutely got you right now. And that's exactly where her campaign is. This is how she's campaigning.
Boy, that's a great reference. Well, I don't know. What exactly does cringe mean? Oh, you want to know how it's being used to define her? Go watch this segment of Fargo.
No, I mean, it is. And it's like they come after her, and then she's just this weird, oh, yeah, you're right, Anderson Cooper. That's absolutely true. Yeah, that's true. You know, I was pro-fracking from a long time ago. People don't, yeah, it's true. I mean, you can look it up. I got to go.
I wonder if he's more favorable in the ratings than Walz in Minnesota.
Yeah, maybe.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Let's play more of Harris's Town Hall on CNN from last night. All right, here we go.
Is there something you can point to in your life, political life, or in your life in the last 4 years that you think is a mistake that you have learned from?
I mean, I've made many mistakes. And they range from, you know, if you've ever parented a child, you know you make lots of mistakes too. In my role as vice president, I mean, I've probably worked very hard at making sure that I am well versed on issues, and I think that is very important. It's a mistake not to be well versed on an issue and feel compelled to answer a question.
So where was the mistake?
In agreeing to appear in that town hall? Probably. I'm thinking.
By the way, that's a horrible question to ask.
Well, it's a horrible question, but there is a political answer. And the political answer is this. What I've learned is we all make mistakes, and certainly I made my share in my lifetime. It's not about the mistakes you make. It's about what you learn from them and being able to recover from those mistakes. You've got to get back up on the horse. You've got to learn from everything that you have done throughout your life. And everything that I do every day, I'm looking to learn something that applies to the job that I'm doing.
You ever been in an interview when they've asked you that question?
Mistakes?
They'll ask you, what's a negative about you?
No, I've never been.
Oh, I have, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I've been asked that in interviews before.
No.
Not the vast majority of interviews. Tell us something that you're not happy. Tell us one of your weaknesses. Never been asked to you, huh?
My wife's peach cobbler. Next question.
I can't remember how I answered. I know in one interview I said, I basically said, because this was an interview that I ended up getting the job. And it was, why do you wish to work here?
Oh, in a job interview.
Job interview, yeah.
You're doing a TV interview. Tell me one of your weaknesses.
No.
Mr. McNamara.
Oh, no. I meant in a job interview.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, no, that would have been easy. I work with Eric.
I haven't had a job interview since 1990.
I think I got
I mean, technically I did. I sat down with Tyler Cox at WBAP in the fall of 96, right before I started. But it was actually more of a conversation. It wasn't the typical job interview situation.
Yeah, this happened in there's a small radio station. This is early 80s.
Yeah.
Or mid 80s. And because I had experience, I'm not kidding you. Because I had experience, minimum wage was $4 an hour. But since I had experience and they thought I was totally well qualified for the job, they decided to pay me $4.10 an hour.
Yeah.
I'm not making that up. Well, yeah, I went in the interview and I got those questions. It was almost as if, and the I still believe he's in radio. Really good guy. I mean, just a great guy, and loves red eye. But it was those questions. Tell me something, a weakness about yourself. Well, why do you wish to work here? Well,
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I'm
on the other side of this desk.
Well, I've been in radio for a couple of years, and I like radio, and I need the money. Well, give me a secondary reason. There isn't one. And I just went, these questions, and I actually, look, these questions are just ridiculous. I like radio. I think I'm pretty good at it, and I want money. I mean, I don't know what else. I don't know what else to say. And he hired me.
The very first interview I did before I was actually in radio, it was with Eddie McMurphy, the program director. I had no experience. Summer of '84. And when I went up to the station to fill out the job application, the office manager, Rhonda, said, I think the program director actually might be okay with talking to you right now. I think he might have a few minutes to sit down with you. So he called me back there and goes, what makes you think, without experience, you have no experience, what makes you think you can do this job? And I just blurted out, and I don't know why I said it, but I just said, well, what makes you think I can't?
Oh, that's good.
I said, I am a fast learner. And then he kind of, his eyes went, oh, okay. And he pinned the application on the cork board. He says, if I'm looking to hire somebody that I need to train, I'll give you a call. And they called me September 4th, '84, so a little over a month later.
I probably have hired in radio as a manager probably 100 people. I don't think I ever asked any of those questions.
Well, because here's the thing, it doesn't look good on you, because if you in our business, well, back in the day it was a tape and resume.
Yeah.
So they've already heard you, and so you're there. And there's a reason that they've called you. And my question, if anybody had ever asked me that, would be, are we, number one, are we doing an air check session? When the boss would just sit down with you, listen to your last show. Hey, let me stop it right there. Okay, here we go.
Just so people know, that's the worst thing ever when you become a radio announcer, especially if your boss is somebody who's never actually sat in front of a microphone.
Yeah.
And they'll say, let's listen to your show.
Right.
Now, you already know what you've said.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing more irritating and frustrating for them to break down. And this was in music radio.
Yeah.
Hi, boys and girls, what's going on? I didn't like the accent at the end of girls. The way you said, it sounded to me like you said more girls than girls.
Well,
and I had one guy one time, I went to work, and this is when I was working in Marshall, Texas. The first day, what he did was, apparently, my first show, he said, okay, let's go through your show and talk about what you've done wrong. Now, I'm not going to make you go back and listen to the tape, but I've jotted down here, minute by minute, what you did wrong. And he pulls out the old computer sheet, and he lifts it up, and it goes all the way down to the floor. And there's like 150 things that I did wrong. In his opinion. I'll never forget that. I burst out laughing.
Yeah.
And I went, okay, this isn't going to be serious.
Well, it's the thing is that if they're asking those questions, then they don't know why I'm sitting in front of them. And which is weird, because they're the one that, because of the process and how it plays out, if they ask that question, it seems like they haven't been doing their homework.
I will tell you this, I've had, and it just by coincidence in the last year, 2 women that I worked, that I hired years ago, that they, when in conversations with them or something that I commented, they've messaged me or even said it publicly, which they said, one said, you hired me for a major shift, and no woman was working that shift.
Yeah.
No woman was leading a team
right.
anywhere that I knew of. And you took the chance, and you had no, you had no problem doing it. And I had another woman say the same thing to me. You were way ahead of your time. And I had to answer them honestly. And one was a black woman. And she said, I just never expected that I would get hired like this. And she said, your hiring process was simple. Well, I heard her air check.
Mm-hmm.
I heard her. She was great. That's all I needed to know.
Yeah.
I didn't really need to know anything more. And she walked in, it was great. And I said, okay, it's yours. And the same to somebody else. And they were like trying to make it out that I was this incredible feminist that was going against the grain. And maybe I was, but that wasn't my thought process. I never thought about it. I didn't care whether you were black, a woman. It didn't matter. A black woman, a white woman. I didn't care. I didn't sit there and say, okay, what's the gender? What is the I need to do some gender accounting here or some racial accounting. I simply went, this is good because I know what good is because I knew I sucked. And so anybody that was better than me, I wanted to hire.
Yeah.
It was early on in my career that I got into management when I didn't want to get into management. And that was the thing. I never wanted to be a manager, ever. That wasn't my goal. And I found out that everything in my life that I didn't want to do, I ended up doing, including talk radio, and I love it. It was made for me. There's no better job that I could possibly ever have than this. I didn't know it. And I didn't know it for a significant period of years, over a decade of doing it.
Right.
Probably 15, 20 years. I really got comfortable. We've talked about this. I really got comfortable in talk radio after working with you for a couple of years.
Right.
That's really where I said, okay, you never think when you do this every day for as long as we've done it, you never sit there and go, well, I'm really great and I'm something special. What you look at it, you say, am I consistent? Am I consistent every single day? Is the quality of today's show the quality of yesterday's show? That's what you look for because you're so involved in the process. There really isn't time to sit back and say, wow, what a great job I've been doing, because the next show is right around the corner.
Well, I often have to remind myself what the work is. I mean, I'm constantly doing the work, but when it becomes your life and you don't know otherwise, it doesn't feel like work because it's everything that you do.
Yeah. That's what has changed at the 30,000 hour.
And because back in the day, a sit down with the boss was part of the job. I don't see this. I mean, technically it's a job. I don't look at it as I'm not watching a clock going, oh my gosh, like most of our listeners, when is this going to be over? I'm not, I don't take that approach.
But him asking that question to her, maybe you ask it to somebody who has been well vetted. But to me, that's a stall question. That's a lazy question by Anderson Cooper. Tell us, your mistakes or your weaknesses. I don't care. I want to know where she stands on the issues because she won't answer a damn question straight. And the fact that he did that is, to me, is a stall question.
Yeah.
It's somebody who really isn't doing their homework. Because that's a question, that's a throwaway question.
Exactly. That was my point on the boss asking that. It sounds like the boss hasn't done their homework. Why am I sitting in front of you? Because that would be my response to a boss or a potential boss in an job interview situation. I'd be going, wait a minute. Why did you call me? I mean, that's the whole thing. And then it's like, you tell me what you're looking for. And why you chose me to be in the pool of potential hires here. That's where we come together and go, okay, am I a fit? Do I? It's a lazy question, and it was there. That's a very lazy question.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the town hall meeting, Obama and John McCain, and it was the last question asked by an audience member, not somebody in the media, to John McCain. What don't you know and how will you learn it? That verbatim was the question. And he went on and, blah, 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 blah.
Fight with me.
Fight with me. It should have been, what I don't know is actually much about this guy who is my opponent standing next to me right now. What I don't know is what he might bring in terms of changes at the highest level from the federal government. And how I'll change it is by winning and not allowing him to become president. But you didn't hear that from John McCain. And those are the things, that you get those weird questions, those odd questions. But I think the liberal media has given up. Keep in mind, Anderson Cooper in September of 2023, asking a guest, come on, isn't she a drag on the ticket?
Yeah.
Before Biden, long before they were talking about Biden stepping down, they were talking about replacing her on the ticket. They were entertaining that idea. So there's probably not much interest. He's not driven to ask a good question because he doesn't care, because he sees how bad she is.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. We've got stuff, plenty of stuff,
And things.
and things,
And more.
no, great thing I just read on X here.
Ah,
An analysis of Kamala.
all right.
You'll want to hear it.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, class. Good morning.
Well, this is no surprise. From Fox, Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation is running out of cash and nearing its end unless something changes dramatically, according to a new report. The Free Press, the independent news organization founded by former New York Times journalist Barry Weiss, on Tuesday published a scathing deep dive into the scrappy startup that struck gold in 2020, headlined Black Lives Matter collected over $90 million in donations. Where did it go? Capitalizing on lucrative opportunities afforded to them by as high-profile progressives, the three celebrity founders moved on, leaving the operation to wither in the hands of deputies who sadly turned on each other. A remarkable spate of legal trouble, brushes with law enforcement, and tangles with the Internal Revenue Service have all but spelled the death of the enterprise that you probably know best as Black Lives Matter. The Free Press reported the spectacular rise and fall of Black Lives Matter has surprisingly little in common with earlier civil rights campaigns, other than perhaps good intentions. How BLM's leaders exploited George Floyd's murder to raise millions that they then put into their own pockets more closely resembles the stories of famous grifters like Elizabeth Holmes of Theranos or Sam Bankman-Fried's foray into effective altruism.
Yeah.
Wow. And just goes on and on talking about it. Well, we knew it. They were bogus from the beginning. We said it. We were right there. We were right across the board back then. And, man, we got flack for it. We got flack for it, but we were right.
Yep.
Because you don't have to be a rocket scientist in order to figure out all this stuff. But there it goes. That story came out yesterday in the Free Press. Other news out there. I want to play. We got a ton of audio to play. I think we're going to have a ton of audio to play all the way up till Election Day. It's just so much. This is Bill Ackman yesterday.
All right.
Being interviewed. Bill Ackman, for people who don't know, is CEO of, I can't remember the name of it. Of an investment group, hedge fund manager, whatever. But he is most well known. He's a billionaire, but most well known when after October 7th, he's the one that went after the Ivy League schools, if you remember.
Yeah,
Bill Ackman was the one that said, we need to find out all these people from the Ivy League colleges that signed these things saying Israel was wrong.
Yeah.
And we need to clear the rot out of, Ivy League schools. Well, he talked yesterday about why Trump is the candidate, why he is supporting Trump. Here it is.
Let's talk a little bit about the economics of the next candidate. I mean, Trump is the only candidate that's talked about accelerating the growth of the country. And the only way we're going to dig ourselves out of $36 trillion worth of liabilities is through growth, right? There's sort of two answers when you're over-leveraged, right? One answer is you can negotiate with your lenders. The other is you can increase the value of your assets. And how do you do that? You increase your profitability. How do you increase your profitability? You reduce expenses. He's the only candidate. And actually, let's talk about team for a moment, because it's not really Trump versus Harris. It's the Trump team versus the Harris team, right? So what have we seen? So Trump's picked J.D. Vance as his vice president. I'm afraid of mispronouncing him. Kamala has picked Walz. Walz is a self-described knucklehead. Right? I can't imagine a world in which this guy is president of the United States. And you have to look at the vice president as a potential president of the United States. So that's, right. If I line them up, you've got a guy who grew up in a very, very challenged environment, addiction, family, rural America, makes his way to Yale, armed forces. Now he's, venture capitalist, senator, extremely articulate, obviously highly intelligent. So you compare and contrast. You have Elon Musk, who's probably one of the most consequential, certainly consequential business leaders 100%. In the world. It's proven he can take on 12 things at the same time and
Mark Cuban
and change the world. Okay, who's going to take? He's put himself out here in this election. And first, the only one talking about government efficiency, right? And Trump's all in. By the way, RFK. Okay, right. RFK is a highly intelligent, capable person, and he's focused on a couple of issues that mean a lot to me. Number one, the food industrial complex, what's happened to the health of Americans over the last couple of decades. He's going to focus on that. I think that is a critically important issue. I think examining the 73-shot regime that we give our kids is worth doing.
There you go. Yesterday, but really interesting. You just hear somebody say, "But she's got Mark Cuban."
Yeah. The comments about Tim Walz, that there's nothing that comes from her that says presidential. We already know that. And you think to yourself, okay, then vice president. Tim Walz is even worse. It is the worst ticket that I can recall in my lifetime.
I have never seen, without question, from the presidential level, I've never seen this bad of a candidate, ever. Ever. I've never, ever seen it.
There are, I clearly disagree with all the Democrats and have never supported any of the Democrats as candidates. But I'm talking about the game, the process, how it all plays out. In 2008, Obama's ground game reset the rules. It reset the process. In fact, the GOP had kind of tried to adopt that in 2012 for Mitt Romney, and it failed drastically. They didn't get it off the ground, or so to speak. And then in 2016, they had it down. Their ground game, the GOP's ground game, as a result of learning from those mistakes they made in 2012. the point is that a campaign is a machine normally. This is why I keep saying it appears as if that the Democratic National Committee has handed her the keys and said, lock up when you're done. We're going home. Because there's nothing machine-like in it. You know what I mean? Say what you will about anything. Even Biden with his whatever cognitive issues he has, you knew that there was some kind of machine, at least when they were, doing the non-campaigning in 2020 and he was hiding in the basement. You still felt like there was an organization, right? That they were together as a group. And with her, it's some kind of bizarre, weird comedy show that they put on HBO, and it's not Veep because that was funny. This one's more tragic.
Well, when I say, for example, she's the worst candidate I've ever seen run for president, she may be the worst candidate that I've ever seen there's been some bad Senate candidates out there before, but she's the worst that's ever run for president. And the fact is, Democrats know what I'm saying is true. You know how they know it's true? Because they weren't criticizing Democrats who were saying she's worse than Biden and the drag on Biden for the first 3.5 years of his presidency.
Yeah.
Everybody knows she sucks.
Yeah.
Even Democrats. Right. They're pretending she's great now, but they all know she's horrible.
Right.
They all know.
Yeah.
How do we know? It's not because Eric and Gary are trying to play partisan and trying just to criticize a woman. No, we're telling you what the Democratic Party said. She's horrible. She's the drag. Get rid of her.
Right.
Don't give her anything.
She's the problem on the ticket.
Right. Exactly.
But they knew that going in because they were the ones who decided she wasn't even going to make it to January 1 of 2020 because she dropped out in December of 2019. She didn't make it when she was running in the primary in the 2020 election season. That was but the choice of the Democrats as a party, as a collective. They were going, nah. Remember when Bill de Blasio decided he was going to run?
Oh, my God.
And all the Democrats were going, no. No. I mean, it was kind of that. And it was the same disorganization, actually. And the word had been out there for, I don't know, a couple of months before she officially dropped out December 3rd of 2019, that the money was running out, but also that it was totally unorganized and it was not running very well because they didn't have much direction. It all comes from the top. When we talk about things like a ground game, the energy of the ground game, the fuel for the ground game is the passion for the candidate. And you got to have that first.
Well, when you talk about a machine, you talk about does there seem to be a group of people around that are really supporting her, and you don't see it for Biden. You saw it, but what they coalesced around was the fact of Trump sucks.
Yes,
and Biden will be a moderate. But
right.
As soon as he started speaking, they knew, all right, we got to run this campaign. Mm-hmm. Not that we have a machine that's going to bring great ideas,
right?
But we're just not Trump,
right? And everybody,
because the ideas they believe in, the American public doesn't. Now the problem is, you have a candidate that the Democrats believe sucks.
Exactly.
And like I said, we know this because they said it for the first 3.5 years until she was anointed, not even through a primary process. She was anointed as the candidate because of identity politics.
Well, that's it.
And we all know. But what the fact is, there is no group. There doesn't seem to be a group except for Mark Cuban, who can't explain a damn thing.
He's just
horrible.
throwing out these weird excuses.
Yeah. He's throwing out excuses. It's like he's He's going, what can I throw against the wall here? What can I throw against the wall? There is no coherent.
It's random almost.
Yeah, it's random. There is no coherent, let's connect all the dots as to why she's better. And when he was on CNBC last week, well, tell us what you agree with her on.
Right.
Well, no, if she was going to do this, no, I wouldn't. His biggest argument is, I don't believe she's going to do any of these radical things that she said she is going to do in the past. That's his defense of her.
Right.
Because he doesn't agree with almost everything that she believes in, but he believes she'll be different.
Again,
if she becomes president. It's
excuse making, which is not an organized campaign. If you look right now, if you look at the Trump campaign, it's more organized than it's ever been. Where did we start out? In 2016, it was basically a couple of guys, that were doing a lot of the clerical kind of things, and it was let Trump be Trump. Trump is running the show. He's the campaign. And yes, it centers around him now, but the campaign itself is a well-oiled machine on every level, and all of the surrogates, every single one of them are on point, including his meat pit.
Every one of his surrogates, and you're talking about, I will use J.D. Vance. You can look at Ramaswamy, and you can look at Musk.
Right.
All of them totally and completely coherent and connect the dots. They're not a Mark Cuban. But the problem is, the reason Mark Cuban can't do it is because the public disagrees. The vast majority of the public disagrees with the platform of the Democratic Party. That's the problem. So how do you build a machine when even, you saw it on CNN, nobody knows where she really stands on anything? How do you build that thing of, we can send the surrogates out that are going to actually be able to answer questions instead of coming up like Cuban is saying, well, if she was going to do all these things, then I wouldn't vote for her. I don't believe she's going to do the things that she said she's going to do.
That's a horrible appearance. I would, in fact, if I were part of the campaign, I'd call him and say, could you not make any more appearances on our behalf? Could you not do that? Because you're wrecking it for us. Because you sound like a random excuse maker. Well, and that, to me, what does it show? Lack of faith in the candidate who has lack of conviction. If she had conviction, if she were strong and consistent, that's what a candidate has to be. Nothing has changed about Donald Trump.
No.
Nothing.
And then you saw the analysis. We played it on CNN or from CNBC yesterday. We're like, well, Mark Cuban's out there doing all the financial stuff because she doesn't want to touch it because she's afraid she'll get something wrong and it will hurt her. It's like, well, Cuban's horrible.
Yeah, he's horrible. And let's go back to the thing of her getting it wrong and it will hurt her. She'll get it wrong. Why? Are you saying she's not qualified and doesn't know enough about these things?
Yeah. Oh, I've got something great coming up following the bottom of the hour that you'll want to hear. This is great.
Yeah.
It was a piece somebody wrote on X, and you'll want to hear it because it really lays out everything where you go, yeah, you're right. She claims she has all this experience, but, and it's a great points made. That coming up after the bottom of the hour, 866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Wow. I'm telling you, it's social media. What was trending before? Hashtag Kamala grope me. I mean, it's insane right now on X.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what what you get with free speech. But
right.
I just and then it was actually trending before. And the other one trending right now, George Santos saying Kamala's dead tomorrow because of the news coming out. It's going to be an October surprise on her. Now, if it was somebody by Santos, I might be interested in it.
Yeah. It's weird what trends right now because everything is so over the top.
Well, even
when you log on, from being like asleep for a few hours or whatever, you log on and you go, okay, what did I miss?
what I notice is everybody's in a state of emergency right now. Every little thing that comes out every single day.
Right.
And I know, Judge, we read a couple of the emails earlier. What do you guys think about this? And what about this? What about that? And what about this one thing was said by this? As if, these things have been said all along, but because it was said yesterday, I don't know, maybe it's because early voting had started in a lot of states, but there seems to be a heightened sensitivity to anything that's being said, and that's why we do the show, to try to put it a little bit in perspective, as
Right.
I think we have, that
Right.
there's a difference with, for example, you look at yesterday, Kamala going on. Who won the day yesterday? Trump did. Trump wins the day. Doesn't matter if Democrats attack him, because that's a given. And they're attacking him on things that, as you said earlier, had been vetted. As you said, somebody, we think he thinks like Hitler and he's a fascist. Well, yeah, and a jury found him guilty of 34 felonies.
Right.
And that's gone. You said that earlier in the pre-show meeting. You go, they don't understand the public now that supports Trump, and the growing number of people that support Trump believe that the institutions are full of rot.
What you say about him, what you think he is.
And when you say, but General Kelly doesn't mean anything
Doesn't
anymore.
mean anything
we
at all.
respect your service in the military, but we know that the rot exists in the intelligence agencies. It's existed in the and still exists in the FBI, in the military, all these institutes. Once they get into politics, the rot is everywhere.
And General Kelly was chief of staff, so either he's lying or he was part of the fascism that he's accusing.
Observing and analyzing the insanity. Eric Harley and Gary McNamara. Nightly on Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose.
And thank you.
All right, I saw this on X. I just happened to be going by it. I saw that, in fact, it came up because I saw Dan Bongino liked it, and Dan Bongino's, what do they call the studio next to us? He doesn't broadcast from here, but
It's his production studio.
it's his production studio with all the. You were in the other day and saw the guys, right?
Yeah. Friends with guys. Jim Verdi, great producer, great guy.
I saw he liked this, and this is written by Susie Moore from Red State. And this is after she watched the town hall meeting. Being a lawyer is hard. Being a litigator is extra hard. It requires you to fully dissect and understand your case, the strengths and weaknesses, to be well prepared and well acquainted with the evidence, to have prepared your client and witnesses thoroughly, to be intimately familiar with the rules of evidence and the rules of civil procedure, and well acquainted with the local rules and the typical practices of a given venue and in a particular courtroom, to anticipate your opposing counsel's approach and whatever tricks they may have up their sleeves, to understand the theory of your case and to have a detailed outline of your case such that you can present it in a logical, persuasive fashion to the jury, to know how to question the jury and build a rapport with them while getting them acquainted with and primed to favor your client and your theory of the case, to present an opening statement that makes them want to hear more from you and inclined to give you, your client, the benefit of the doubt, to conduct thorough, salient, direct examinations and pointed, impactful cross-examinations, to corral your experts and use them to fill whatever blanks your lay witnesses and evidence may leave, to always be ready to object to the other side's shenanigans, to read the judge and know when he or she is going to cut you a break or slam the door in your face, and pick your battles wisely so you don't embarrass yourself in front of the jury, to stand in front of the courtroom of people, including usually 12 jurors and an alternate or two who are by that point tired of it all, and present to them a compelling closing argument, one that may last 30 minutes, an hour, or longer, when it's just you talking, monologuing, trying to close the deal. In endless hours of prep time and stress, it's driving home at 2:30 a.m. after a full day of doing battle, and then more hours of prep time, and falling asleep in your suit on the couch only to get up 90 minutes later, shower, fix your hair and makeup, put on a different suit, and head back into the office to prep some more before another long day of trials. It's sometimes just about killing yourself to do it all and present a solid case and bring home a win for your client or the people if you're a prosecutor. It is hard, mean work, but it toughens you up, and it teaches you how to think on your feet and withstand blows from a combative opponent and sometime a disgruntled judge, and how to stand in front of a room full of people and make your case persuasively and get them to agree with you. Kamala Harris has demonstrated none of these skills, and yet she insists she has the background and that she is qualified to be the leader of the free world. I call BS. Complete and utter horse hockey. She's a phony. That's a great piece to lay out what you actually have to do as a lawyer or a prosecutor, and the fact that you would expect that when you have to present your case, that you can do it in some type of coherent fashion, and you have figured out that even if you realize the weakness of your positions, you're able to sell them in a way that people don't say, she's BSing.
And you're able to do that because, we often see, sometimes we see real cases. But you see movies, TV shows, and it's condensed. But everything between the opening statement and closing argument, if it's done right, is done because of so much work that is put into it. The work is done. The work that builds that experience, when a prosecutor's office, if that's why I think everybody's scratching their head at the Bragg case. When the indictments were unsealed, when they were revealed, everybody was going, there's nothing here. It's 34 counts of nothing. And when you look at a real case that you're making, what you're trying to do as a candidate is demonstrate the experience, the work that you have done that qualifies you to be in that position. That really is what it's about, and she has nothing. The problem with her presentation is she has zero confidence in herself. The body language, the manner of speaking, the nervous laughter, she doesn't have confidence in herself. There are very real tells. As humans, we look at other humans and we size them up. We know. When Trump comes into a room, he owns the room.
Yeah.
And the reason he does is because of everything that he carries with him. But if you look at his physical makeup, but also how he carries himself, how he dresses, it comes off as somebody who's made a series of decisions to get it right, to learn and get it right. It's beyond the rock star thing. The rock star thing is one thing. And the left has just made that, especially in the Obama years, just made that their thing. They were hoping to do that with her. That's not going to happen. It didn't happen. It was never going to happen. Well, Donald Trump, you could say rock star, but it actually goes far beyond that. And it's decades of experience. Look, and he's written about his failures and bankruptcies and bad moves in business. But he doesn't flinch. And he gets back on the horse. And every single day when he's on the horse, he's the general. He's in charge. When he's in the room, he owns the room for that reason. She doesn't have any semblance of authority when she's in any room,
or the basic skills that you would expect a seasoned lawyer, and that's part of the criticism. Well, how many cases did she actually try personally?
Right.
Because you look at it and you say, how can you be so bad?
Mm-hmm.
And when you go through life, I think about one of the things that really gave me confidence to bring up uncomfortable topics or controversial topics. Some of the best training I had started at 18 years of age when I was a bill collector.
Mm-hmm.
I can still remember. I remember that day going in, and I was trained. All right, here's how you make the call. And I can't remember what I was collecting the first day, what they had me on. So for an hour, I watched it. Then I had to make my first call. Thank goodness people didn't have answering machines back then, because the first call, I can remember the relief, because you're on the spot. You've got to make the case. Well, 6 months later, probably a month later, I'm calling people up, no problem at all doing it. And that helped me tremendously when it comes to being in radio, public speaking. But when you've done it and done it this long, been in politics, she's 60 years old now. It's not like she's 30.
Yeah.
She's 60. She has had decades in politics, decades as a lawyer.
Yeah.
And she seems like she's never spoken in front of people before or had any type of adversarial conversation, or not even adversarial, because some of the worst things that she has done is when they've been softball interviews, and she doesn't seem to have what it takes. It doesn't seem like she has the experience to do the things that should be so simple for someone that has the resume that she does.
Yeah. Yeah. When you look at individuals who would be potential nominees or candidates or eventually presidents, you look at the ones who carry themselves in a certain way. We've been watching Biden for years. Biden never had the ability to govern because he never had to. As a senator, he didn't. As a vice president for 8 years, he didn't have to govern. It wasn't required. It wasn't part of the job. And he's a wholly dishonest person. He is a to-the-bone liar. And yet, in 2020, they pulled it off because of all of the hatred for Trump. This election season, I don't even know how she got to that point. I know the process. I know what happened. But I mean, when in the fall of over a year ago, Anderson Cooper is saying, oh, come on, yeah, but she's a drag on the ticket, right? I mean, implying they need to replace her before they really get into the 24 election cycle full on, because she wasn't the right pick to begin with.
And everybody knew it, including Democrats.
Yes, they all knew this.
Yeah.
They made that decision in the fall of 2019. This is not hard to see. It happened not by accident, but by a choice, by a series of bad decisions by people who aren't themselves capable of making decisions, including Joe Biden. That's how it happens. If she wins, I'm going to have so many questions about the psychology of the American voter.
Yeah.
Because it will require independents to vote for her in order for that to happen.
Yeah, you're right.
That she will have won over a significant chunk of independents.
Just reading here from Mark Penn. He was co-founder of the polling firm PSB Research, whose clients were Bill Clinton, Tony Blair, Bill Gates, and he was chief strategist and pollster for the Hillary Clinton campaign. So he's a Democrat, even though later on has become a defender of Trump and oppose the impeachment. And he's alleged that remember, he's a Democrat, former Democrat, deep state conspiracy against him. Here's what he had on X. Heading into the final stretch, Trump is on the offense, relaxed, going to Al Smith and McDonald's, seeking core Catholic and working class Democratic voters. Harris seems on the defense, working to regain black voters, calling Trump a fascist. It's all you need to know about who is winning and who is losing.
Yeah.
And that comes from a pollster. And we've said, when you look at the behavior of the both campaigns, the things that are actually going on right now, that's a key.
When she can't get through a friendly media, friendly to her, liberal activist media interview, and they're all scratching their heads and on the panel saying, yeah, she's not doing anything right, then you know.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up following the top of the hour, just mind-boggling, a audio cut from Obama, and you'll want to hear it. It shows you how bad this campaign is, talking to young people about why they should vote for Kamala.
Yeah.
Now, there is no self-awareness, because when I played it for you during the break, you just went, Gary, there's no self-awareness, and we'll get to that here in a couple of seconds. But the thing is, this isn't where he said it and conservatives got this audio cut and said, let's do it. Obama posted this audio cut.
Right.
Wait till you hear it. Coming up.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America. We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Everybody a little antsy after yesterday. We got some emails. We read some of them. What do you guys think? What's going on? And then this accusation again. Calm down.
Yep.
Mellow.
Yeah.
Relax. Have an Atkins strawberry shake with vodka. I said that because I'm actually have my Atkins strawberry shake.
No vodka? All right, fine.
Well, it's Atkins strawberry shakes, the drink of type 2 diabetics.
I'm drinking my Diet Mountain Dew, and I read J.D. Vance, his favorite soda is Diet Mountain Dew. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I read Tim Walz's favorite soda is Diet Mountain Dew. And I'm like, dang it.
You're not.
It's true
Is that-
story. Yeah, they both like Diet Mountain Dew.
Well, that's because different type of men, irrespective of their masculinity, like it. You, J.D. Vance, Tim Walz. Now, I'm really a testosterone-laden man, so I don't drink those kind of drinks.
Right.
That may be your masculinity. It's not mine. You know, the best thing is when I see
Did
an
you
ex...
say testosterone laden or testosterone lacking?
Laden.
Oh, okay.
Yes. The funny thing is now the left is now the left is accusing. Well, you know, the Republicans are all caught up in this masculinity thing with.
Yeah.
No, we're not. You
No.
brought it up.
No.
I could care less.
I never, for me, it's like, no. I mean, do I own guns? Yes. Do I hunt? Yes. Do I fish? Yes. Do I have a truck? Yes. Do I do things that men do? Yeah. Is it because I want to come off as I mean, I'm assuming I have testosterone. I think there's probably evidence that I have a little.
Well, I think at my age, my levels may be going down a tad.
Well, and that's my other favorite drink. T2 or whatever, probably putting it in drinks now, I don't know. But right? Or edibles, testosterone edibles. I don't even know
Oh
how
my
it works.
gosh, do they make testosterone edibles?
I don't know. I don't know how any of it works. But you know, I've never thought to myself, well, okay, this has got to look more macho.
I know, neither have I.
This has got to. No. I mean, I just do the things that I enjoy doing. I do, you know, and I own a truck because I like to put stuff in the back when I go to Home Depot or I go fishing or on vacation or whatever, you know. I needed it to haul the RV. I like the sound of the engine. Does that make me? It's a really cool engine. I does it make me, you know, macho? I probably wouldn't bank on that. I'm just a guy.
Well, in the 70s, even though I refused to wear the leather pants and the silk shirt with the gold chain with the shark's tooth at the end to be a disco DJ, I might have not always been the epitome of the testosterone man because in the 70s, for a short period, I did have a pair of clogs.
Wow. Did you wear them? Or just did you put them on, were they like on a mantle somewhere?
No, everybody, you didn't, I would never wear them with shorts, but if you wore jeans, you threw on the clog. They were great. Everybody.
Were they?
Yeah.
All
and
right.
we never viewed it as, we viewed it as, I don't have to tie shoes.
Yeah.
But yes.
People are still doing that.
Yes, yeah. I did have a pair of clogs.
All right. Okay. You know, I find it ironic that in the 70s, too, that the group that came up with the song Macho Man was the Village People. Like, I think you're doing that wrong.
Well, the 70s, you really were, with all the disco attire and the bell bottoms.
I don't, that wasn't a macho look.
I know.
It was opposite of macho.
Wait a minute. Wasn't Travolta macho?
Nope.
Yes, in Welcome Back, Kotter.
Well, I mean, and also there was a lot of dancing and rehearsing in dance studios, and it was, you know, I mean, it's okay if you want to dance, but I wouldn't put that over in the macho category. You know, where are you going?
Here you're going again, caught up in your masculinity thing.
Where are you going? I'm going to get full on toxic here. Where are you going? I'm going to the dance studio for a few hours. No, that's the thing you would lie to your friends about. Where are you going? I'm going to Bass Pro Shop. You'd say anything but dance studio.
But you know something.
Mm-hmm.
My sister, my younger sister, one of my younger sisters,
Mm-hmm.
was tremendous in ballet.
Mm-hmm.
She danced with the Buffalo Ballet, the Houston Ballet. Her partner was the actor, pretty famous actor, Jeff Fahey.
Mm-hmm. Lawnmower Man.
Lawnmower Man.
Yeah.
Lost, the helicopter pilot on Lost.
Right.
He was her ballet partner.
Mm-hmm.
And was it Ronald Reagan Jr. that danced in the Joffrey Ballet? I forgot which Reagan it was who there was a dance in the Joffrey Ballet. When he was sidelined for some reason, they saw Jeff, and believe me, because he was the only guy, women were all over him constantly. And you look at him and the roles that he has had, very masculine.
Trying to work off that whole ballet thing, though.
Well, he had one of the great.
I guess to shake that image.
I guess later on he became good friends with Don Johnson. He was in the Miami Vice, episode where he took a rocket launcher out and blew up their car.
Oh yeah,
it's a great scene.
Yeah.
From it. In fact, the last time I saw him, I don't know what year it was, because he went from the Buffalo Ballet to. I think it was the Joffrey Ballet, and then somebody saw him, and next thing you know, he was on the soap operas. I forgot the name. It was The Bold and the Beautiful or something. He was on that, and that catapulted his acting career.
Right.
But it all started because of dancing. Last time I saw him, because I saw him dance with my sister many times, and great guy, just great guy. But last time I saw him, he was. I think my sister had a Pinto. I think she had a Pinto, and she was driving him somewhere, and he had his head and half his body out the window barking like it go. Ruff, 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 ruff. It's the last time I saw Jim.
All right.
A really, really good guy, and so he's. I think he's from south of Buffalo. Comes from a very, very big family, but
yeah. But
so
aside for the ballet and soap operas thing, he had a very macho career.
Well, but this is the thing. My point was. It's we don't spend any time talking about this kind of crap.
Well, I've never
right.
thought that way. I didn't think that way when I was a kid, and I was watching all the disco stuff. It was like, okay, it's not my thing. But I was learning guitar and everything else. I was interested actually in creating music, not disco. You
wanted to be a man, and you were attracted to the hair bands.
Yeah, not the hair bands, metal.
And the tight spandex.
Yeah, nope, not
wait
spandex.
a minute. I thought the hair bands were metal. Oh, my God. That's another one. That's a controversy.
You should stop talking now. One of the greatest interviews of Steve Harris, the bass player for Iron Maiden, and he talks about the punk movement.
Yeah.
And he repeats these words, I hated it. I hated it. I hated every minute of it. It was the funniest answer. I just giggled at it because he did. He hated the punk movement, the contrived thing. But I never really thought in those terms. Well, speaking of metal, one of the lead singer of the band they call the Metal Gods, Judas Priest, Rob Halford, openly gay. Yeah. We didn't care. The leather and all the things that, all of the spikes and everything, that's where, that came from. And then everybody started wearing that on stage. Nobody cared. It wasn't one way or the other. But it's indicative. It is more proof that identity for the left is everything. We've got to shape you into something that you're not. Look, they did that with Trump. They've done that with Trump through how many lies? It must be a world record of lies about him. And then Tim Walz trying to, at first, Republicans are going to be afraid of this macho Democrat. And it's like, what are you, what is this?
And that was my point, that they're trying to reverse and saying, how come conservatives are so caught up in the masculinity thing? We're just responding to you. We don't care. You're the ones that came out when Walz came on, and with the picture, there he is with the camouflage, holding the guns, with his hunting cap on. And then on CNN, we actually heard it.
Right.
The left was talking about Republicans don't know how to handle this kind of testosterone kind of liberal man.
Yeah.
They don't know how to handle it. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? Nobody's talking about it at all.
Yeah.
You guys are setting the table about what the other side thinks. The other side hasn't even talked about it.
Right.
It's not even an issue to them. And then when they respond, it's like, you guys are caught up in all the whole masculinity thing. Well, then less than 2 months later, it's like, I remember it was Dana Bash that got it going on CNN. Well, he's not your normal kind of testosterone kind of male. He's a new kind of masculinity. And then that became the narrative, that he's not the testosterone kind of male of masculinity. He's some other kind of non-testosterone masculinity. And that's why, he helps to build the base of non-traditional masculinity. What WTF are you talking about?
And then the interview with Doug Emhoff. I mean, it's bizarre. It's weird. What is the obsession? Well, it comes from the
identity politics.
The identity politics, which rules everything for them, because they can't talk on the issues. They can't. And when they do, they lie. Trump didn't get the wall built. He's not going to build the wall like I'm going to build the wall. Kamala Harris wants you to believe that she has a stronger position on building a border wall than Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That's how weird this whole thing is. I saw this article. It said, all the middle-class people who are tripping hard at taking hallucinogens. And I thought, no, I get it. Some of them are running for president. Because it's weird. You must be on something to have a campaign that is just throwing out these random things. It's just bizarre. And your surrogates, they're not just in a defensive posture. They're in a Mark Cuban random excuse-making, just throwing things out of. It's like Karine Jean-Pierre's book, but it's filled with excuses. You just rip a page out and throw it at the interviewer. Here, this one works. Here, this one works. Oops, it doesn't work. None of them work.
Can I ask you one question?
Huh?
Do you find me masculine?
No. No.
866
Nope.
90 right.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at JJ Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on roadside inspections. At a roadside inspection, inspectors may ask to see supporting documents. A supporting document is a document generated or received by a motor carrier in the normal course of business that can be used by law enforcement to verify a driver's logs. These documents can include bills of lading, itineraries, schedules, or equivalent documents that indicate the origin and destination of each trip. They can also include dispatch or trip records, expense receipts related to on-duty/not driving periods, including receipts for meals, lodging, and fuel, electronic mobile communication transmitted through a fleet management system, and payroll records, settlement sheets, or equivalent documents that indicate payment to a driver. Drivers using paper logs must also keep toll receipts. Supporting documents must contain the driver's name, carrier-assigned identification number or vehicle unit number that can be linked to the driver, the date, the name of the nearest city, town, or village, and the time. This tip was brought to you by JJ Keller & Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. So here we go. This is something that Obama posted. This shows you how bad it is for their campaign right now. He's on a podcast talking to young men. And the message of why they need to vote for Harris. Are you ready? And
Okay.
not Trump.
All right.
Here we go.
We used to say, so let me get this straight. You're not going to vote, which means you're going to let a bunch of old people decide your future. You wouldn't do that about your music. You wouldn't do that about your clothes. But you're going to let them decide what your future, your potential careers, what the environment's going to look like. You're going to let them decide that?
Wow, where do I begin with that? Didn't you decide to bring on an old guy for your Veep and then endorsed him for president when he ran in 2020 and still support him today? Or am I imagining that? I mean, he's really old.
But to use that.
It's
to use
it's
them
the weakest. And
just horrible.
Well, think about this. This coming from the rock star of the 2008 election season for the Democrats. Sorry, but that sounded like an old man. You sound like it. You're not going to let them choose your clothes, are you? And your music, you call that music. You want to call it music. It's not music. You know?
Well, then if I'm an 18-year-old man, then I only want an 18-year-old candidate
That's
who
what I was
understands
about
my
to say.
music.
Or
dresses like me.
That's where my point was going with Obama. Exactly. You're an old man. And you're trying to influence them right now.
Right.
They wouldn't want you choosing their music or their clothes. What are you talking about, dude? Yeah, it was weird.
So bad. And
it's weird.
And it wasn't what we see, one of the surrogates for Harris saying something, and the Trump campaign picks it up and uses it. Obama posted that. It's like, this is a great thing. This is really going to convince people.
This is going to work, he said to himself. This is going to be great. Look at the point I'm about to make on clothes and music and old people. Wow. By the way, he also forgets that many of those young people live with their old parents. There's that.
And they have to listen to their old music.
Exactly.
Listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, a few words here from we got audio here. A few words here from Hitler. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
We will remove the jihadist sympathizers and Jew haters. We're going to remove the Jew haters who do nothing to help our country. They only want to destroy our country.
There you go.
Wow, that sounds just like Hitler.
Yeah. Well, he's apparently the new Hitler. And the new Hitler has a narrative that is 180 degrees different from the old Hitler.
Right.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
What's going on here is really the whole Antifa thing.
Well, yeah.
Remember?
Right.
And
Antifa was supposed to be anti-fascist.
Right. But they're fascist.
But they're fascist.
Right. And then you look at the anti-racist movement in this country, which is a racist movement.
Tim Walz was supposed to be macho, but so you gotta apply the opposite, basically. Wave your hands in the air like you just don't care about winning the election. It's that's another question in my mind is it seems that this is why it doesn't seem organized. Obama, the audio cut we played, Mark Cuban, any of the surrogates out there, none of this seems organized. When you see the surrogates for Donald Trump, including his vice presidential candidate, they are on point every single time. They don't miss. And by the way, none of it sounds rehearsed. It's conviction that comes through. But it is organized. You can tell. Everybody knows what the game is. No one that's out there in her campaign or as a surrogate for her campaign seems like it's organized. It's like it's off the cuff. It's like Obama said, "Oh, I have a thought. I'll ask him about old people and, clothes and music and stuff. Oh, hey, somebody record this." I mean, it doesn't come off as organized at all, and we're less than 2 weeks away. That's how bad this is right now. That really is where we are. It's just bizarre to see. I've never seen this kind of disorganization at that level.
No.
And I'm in radio. I've seen it at other levels. Not our current company, to be clear. Everybody is on point and is a team player, and that's
very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you. And those, those are the things. I mean, our former CEO, he wasn't very good, the former company, when he stood up and said, there is no I in Citadel. I was like, dude, there are two. What are you talking about? It's.
I don't believe that really happened, but I like it.
It could have been something I just made up for the bit. I don't know. It's none of my business. But here's the thing that you watch for, in these final days. They all know the game. Okay, Cuban, not so much. He's never actually been involved directly in the game. Obama does.
Yeah, he does.
It's why Carville is so over the top. He's pulling his hair out. He's going crazy because he knows the game. He knows where they should be less than 2 weeks out. He knows exactly where they should be. The strategists know. The liberal activists and the media know. They all know. And it's not happening. It's not happening in every turn, every appearance. Seriously, I said it before somebody wrote the article about, entertaining the idea of, hey, is it too late to bring Joe Biden back? This is buyer's remorse at a level that I can't even comprehend.
A couple of audio cuts we want to play here. This is David Axelrod. Some of the analysis of Kamala Harris last night in the CNN town hall.
Mm-hmm. When she doesn't want to answer a question, her habit is to kind of go to word salad city, and she did that on a couple of answers. One was on Israel. Anderson asked a direct question, would you be stronger on Israel than Trump? And there was a 7-minute answer, but none of it related to the question he was asking.
Wow. You cannot get more Democrat establishment than David Axelrod, can you?
Right. And they're all saying it. Gary, this isn't one or two of them saying it.
No,
this isn't one of them that has gone, outside the Democrat circle to say, oh, I don't like her and she's not doing. It's not one person. It's not like even a group of, never Trumpers that are, fascist and he's clearly Hitler. It's not even that. It's across the board.
Well, but
at every level. Axelrod, the media, Carville, all of them are looking at this going, she doesn't get it. She's not doing anything right.
But they all knew it. Everyone
Yep.
knows it. That's why we can safely say she is the worst presidential candidate of all time. How do we know this? Because Democrats told us this before they anointed her because of DEI without going through the primary process. That was Democrats' opinion of Harris.
Yes.
She was the drag on Biden.
Right. And they never considered this actually to the point of fruition. In fact, even in the heat of thinking, you know, the process of getting Biden to step down, how do you not follow through with the idea of, well, yeah, but you're left with her? Well, they were leapfrogging in their mind, and then the conversations over her, and they were bringing up other names and everything, but there's no way you can do that. There was no way ever that you could, if you're a liberal, that you could do that. And here we are.
So she went from being the worst kind of Democrat to the best kind of Democrat, yet she hadn't changed at all.
Exactly.
And now they're like, well, what in the world's going on here? Well, you know what's going
Why
on.
doesn't she just, you know, your party said no to her in the fall of 2019. You know this. And all along the way, as Veep, there have been things written about her and said about her. She was a non-thought, back burner. It wasn't going to happen. Don't worry about it until, and here we are. Again, this is how this happens.
And here's a liberal fact check from CNN last night on Kamala.
So first, let's listen to a claim the vice president made about her policy shift on fracking.
I've been very clear we could have dispensed with this in 2020. I am not going to ban fracking. I did not as vice president. In fact, as vice president, I cast the tie-breaking vote that now has opened up more fracking leases.
And you point out, too, when you're running for vice president in 2020, you were not talking about banning fracking, but...
No, Anderson, I pledged that I would not ban fracking.
Right, I know.
It is not true that Harris pledged in 2020 that she would not ban fracking as president. Her campaign has explained that she was referring to her comments in a VP debate with Mike Pence. But here's the thing about that debate. Nowhere in it did Harris say she had changed her own previous 2019 support for a fracking ban. What she did say in that debate twice was that Joe Biden, the head of the Democratic ticket at the time, would not ban fracking himself. I have the quotes here. She said, Joe Biden will not ban fracking, end quote. And then she said, quote, Joe Biden will not end fracking. He has been very clear about that, end quote. She didn't say Kamala Harris wouldn't ban fracking as president. That made sense at the time. He was the candidate. But contrary to her claim tonight to Anderson, she did not pledge until this year that she personally would not support a fracking ban. Now let's listen to something she said tonight about former President Trump's border wall.
Remember, Donald Trump said Mexico would pay for it? Come on, they didn't. How much of that wall did he build? I think the last number I saw is about 2%.
It is true Mexico didn't pay for the wall. That 2% figure, though, is at least somewhat too low. Trump repeatedly said on the campaign trail in 2015, 2016, that we need 1,000 miles of wall. And during his presidency, 52 miles of new wall were built where no wall existed before. So even that is more than 5% of his pledge. And he also built an additional 406 miles to reinforce or replace previously existing border barriers. Much of that replacement wall, guys, was significantly bigger and more daunting than the previous barriers. So I think you could argue it should count too. Now, finally, let's play something the vice president said about Trump's 2017 tax cuts.
Sadly, Donald Trump, when he was president, gave tax cuts to the richest, to billionaires and big corporations, which added trillions of dollars to our deficit.
It is absolutely true that, according to independent analysts, the wealthiest Americans got the biggest benefits from those Trump tax cuts. So this Harris claim is not false. But I think it's worth noting something she didn't mention, and that's that Americans of all income levels got tax cuts from this 2017 law. The Nonpartisan Tax Policy Center found in early 2018 that the law, quote, will reduce individual income taxes on average for all income groups and in all states. The think tank estimated that about 65% of households would get a tax cut in 2018, and between 60 and 76% of taxpayers in each and every state. So yes, indeed, the rich were the biggest winners from Trump's tax cuts, but it certainly wasn't just for the rich.
Now, as we've stated before, it's like, of course, if you make $1 billion and there's a 10% tax cut, you're going to get a bigger tax cut from somebody who makes $80,000 a year.
Right.
So, I mean, that's sort of a given. Her point has always been, and this is where, and again, remember, this is the liberal fact check on her.
Mm-hmm.
The fact check should be, she wants to imply that the tax cuts did not benefit anybody else but the billionaires. That's the falsehood. On the border wall, that was a bizarre moment because she was trying to make it seem like she was more pro-border wall than Trump is. The only reason that Trump did not get his border wall is because Democrats and some Republicans in Congress would not let him get it.
Right.
Otherwise, it would have been built. Everyone knows if Trump could access the money, and he tried to access the money in certain ways, that he would have built the wall. Everyone knows it. For her to try to make the case that she's more pro-border wall is just completely and totally...
It's bizarre.
Yeah, bizarre, unbelievable. And we all know.
And it's bizarre hearing CNN fact checker on those issues.
It really is, isn't it? It's like, oh my gosh.
I mean, seriously. That was just weird to hear.
By the way, this was put together. This was all over the internet after her town hall meeting. Here we go.
Let me be very clear. I'm not going to vote for a wall under any circumstances. I am not for a wall. They're not jumping over walls. So the idea that we're going to sell this thing to the American public and require the taxpayers of our country to pay $5 billion for something that will not deliver what he is suggesting we need is ridiculous, and I will not support it.
It does call for $650 million that was earmarked under Trump to actually still go to build the wall.
I'm not afraid of good ideas where they occur.
So you don't think it's stupid anymore?
I think what he did and how he did it did not make much sense because he actually didn't do much of anything.
And her point is, I will build the wall that Donald Trump did not.
Right.
Anybody believe that?
Nope.
That part was just bizarre. And, of course, Anderson Cooper does not ask the right follow-up questions.
Right. Instead, later on the panel on CNN, well, she's, like they've been doing, well, she didn't answer that correctly, and we blah, 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 blah. Talk to her when she's sitting in front of you.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Did you see we'll play it coming up on the top of the hour. Did you see the audio and the video of Mike Johnson showing how he was edited on CBS?
Yeah.
On Face the Nation?
Yeah.
On Sunday also?
Right.
That didn't give his full answer. They cut it out. Look, I learned that lesson back in the mid-'90s. That you don't do an ad. This was on Nightline. They interviewed me for 2.5 hours and took about 4 or 5 seconds of what I had to say, which took me completely out of context.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
can't
if you're on the
trust them.
right, they're going to do that.
Yep.
You know, but if you're on the left, they'll pare it down to make you sound better, of course.
Yep.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.